Hello, my name is Karina Saroyan, and I think that culture is really difficult to explain, and never really realized that before I had to make this video. So, I'm going to start with just sort of the basic, I guess, um, ideas I have about what culture is. And first of all, let me say that I think the reason it's so difficult to describe it or explain, and I'm sure I'm not the only one having this problem during this assignment, but I think the reason is because there are so many different cultures in the world, and within each culture there are always subcultures, and within those there are, even more subcultures, whatever that would be. And I think the reason for this is that I guess one way I could describe culture is sort of like things people have in common. So that could be, in a household. I guess you can have your own culture in each, like in your own household. Or it can go, geographical. It could be like a whole country, even a whole continent, I guess, even though that would be a little harder. But I think it's sort of like the commonalities people create sort of to fit in. So if you have a group of people and they have nothing in common but they're forced to live like together, I think you start noticing they start sharing like similar language, maybe similar like mannerisms. You can go say similar like creative aspects as well, like maybe art, music, entertainment. So I guess that's culture. I sort of went off on a tangent here. Oh yeah, I think that culture is completely man-made, and as I mentioned before, it's sort of a way for people to connect together. And I guess I established that it was geographical, which seems to be the easiest way to group people. And so yeah, so a lot of people define it as sort of like the artistic side of things. People always say like, oh, you're cultured, or this culture. It's like the art, the music, architecture, I guess would be art, but basically like the creative side of that society. But it also goes deeper into things like, manners and language and just the way people behave. And that's why cultures are so different, when you move to different locations. And I think that's also why we find other cultures, other than our own, sometimes very strange. Like there are different behaviors. I feel like I'm really going off track here. But I know that there are really there's some huge cultural differences, I guess geographically. And one example of that would be like, for example, in America, it's considered pretty rude to belch, if you say, in public or in a restaurant, whereas in Asia, some Asian countries, it's considered rude to not belch after a dinner or a meal, and I think that's sort of like established within each culture. So yeah. Oh, and another thing, I think that culture is never really like established. I think it sort of evolves over time. Like I don't think people in Asia got together and had like a meeting with the whole country and were like, hey, listen, we're gonna make this new rule now. It's rude if you don't belch after a meal. So yeah, let's tell everybody that. It sort of like develops over years and time when people share same um, area, I guess. And then they sort of like pass on their ideas to each other, and people think it's cool, and then they agree with them or start doing that. I really feel like I confuse myself with this, but I guess that's what I think culture is. It's basically things that people share together in a group, and it could be geographical, which is probably the most common way a culture can be grouped. And of course, cultures can also be mixed by people migrating and, moving from place to place, and that's why we have this big, beautiful world. All right. Well, I think I've confused myself and you enough. That's what I think about culture. All right, great. Great assignment. Thank you.